Welcome to the latest episode of the National Leadiology Association. I am Dr. Amin and today I'm joined by the mighty Mr. T.T. Tanner Tatweez and Professor Juan Santana. Welcome, gentlemen.
All right. Happy New Year.
All right, well, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Good to see all of you.
I know it's been a minute.
I was gonna say it's been a minute.
Been a
We
year.
must be on the
I,
same wavelength.
I haven't seen you since last year. So,
It's been forever.
All right, so we're recording this episode right, obviously right after New Year. So, the jokes are gonna be all over with the New Year's. Today we're talking about something simple, powerful, and often underestimated: thankfulness and leadership. In leadership, we're trained to focus on what needs to be fixed, right? What needs to be improved, what's acceptable, what needs to be accelerated. But the leaders who sustain impact over time understand something more profound: the power of noticing what's already working and honoring the people behind it. So we're gonna have some fun today with thankfulness. When we talk about thankfulness, it for me is very profound. It goes back to the beginning of me becoming a leader, and I'll tell the story in a little bit. But in shifting to something a little more personal for a moment, when we think about leadership legacy, it's rarely about job titles or about milestones, achievements. It's about how people felt working with us, right? And thankfulness plays a huge role in that. So my first question to each of you, and you guys start however you want to. When you think about a leader who left a lasting impression on you, what stands out, and how did gratitude show up in the way they led?
No, I could kick that off right off the back with a really nice story that really shaped the rest of my life after that. And we're talking about when I was a young man, 21, just started work, first week on the job, uh, and I was about to get married too. So just started. I have no vacations. My first week. And I remember, August 14, my wedding was August 26. I started, and my boss calls me into his office, our department head. He says, I understand you're getting married. You just started working. Uh, Take the week off. Don't put anything into our system like you're off. You will get paid for the time and go enjoy your wedding and your honeymoon. And man just met me. He doesn't know who I am, doesn't know what I can do. But that left an impression. It says this is a person that I wouldn't mind working for the rest of my life. And for him to, and that's not the first time that he did something like that. So the fact that he gave me that opportunity to go get married, be off for a week, and then come back to work like nothing's happened. Yeah, that really went a long way. And it's showing my work because then the gratitude that I have for working for him was unmatchable. So whatever he needed, I was always there working and putting in the extra effort and making sure that I always deliver.
that's an amazing story. How long did you end up working for him?
10 years.
Oh, there you
And
go.
then what changed it? What actually changed the role? You got promoted, or he moved on, or what happened there?
No, no. By that point, he had moved on away from the company. He had moved out of the company, and then I started exploring uh, other revenues of working and try to go into consulting. But I took everything that I learned from him. So what I am today is due to that man, because his focus wasn't our targets or our deliverable or the application we developed. His whole purpose was making sure his people were taken care of, and he was the best out of it. He took care of his staff like no other, and I take take that forward with me since. My
Wow.
primary focus is my staff because without them, I'm nobody. I can't do everything. I am who I am because of the people behind me that are doing all the hard work, and I have to be grateful for that.
Without question.
Amen.
What do you got, Tanner?
Oh, I there's been so many people who have influenced my leadership style over the years in a positive way. I think of two people when I think of this question. One is a gentleman that I worked with. He was CEO of a hospital system. His name was Scott Bosch. And at the time, the hospital system had approximately 3,000 employees. And what endeared me to him is that he knew every single one of them by name. He
Okay.
wouldn't pass anyone in the hallway without speaking to them by their name. And he was one of the first people that said, you can truly tell whether somebody cares about the place that they're at by how they treat garbage on the floor. If you walk past something that's sitting on the floor, whether it's a small little piece of paper, and you just walk past it, it shows that you don't care. And, there's all the reasons why we say to ourselves why we don't stop and pick up that piece of trash. But ultimately, we can all stop for a second and pick up that little piece of trash and throw it away and make our operation look the way that it should. Those two things about him, because I'm terrible with names. I'm terrible with it. I remember faces, but I'm horrible with remembering names. It always just stuck with me that he took such a profound interest in making sure that everybody felt seen by remembering their names. And the other one is my mentor. I've talked about Sarah before on multiple podcasts, and she was the first leader that I worked with that really showed that you could be a firm leader and still have empathy in all of your actions, right? Like you could teach and grow people and still set very high standards and still be kind about it when they didn't meet those standards. Because in my background growing up, I came from kitchens where people throw stuff at you. You're yelled at all the time. You're treated like what you see on TV. It's not the real world any longer. You can't treat people like that. But it really was back in the 90s, the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. I mean, you could throw things and that was just the cost of being with perceived greatness. And she was the one who really taught me that you can get it's that saying, you catch so many more flies with honey than vinegar. It was that you can be kind and effective. So those are the two that really come to my mind.
Your statement reminds me of a quote I saw a long time ago. It said that bees don't waste time explaining to flies why honey is better than shit.
Yeah, I love that one.
And so my story is I had a guy tell me one time that I worked with, and I reported directly to him. He was not, he was a director, I think, at the time, and I was a supervisor. But he told me, he said, I just want you to know that if I have to do your job, I don't need you. And I just want to say thank you for not making me do your job for you. I was like, okay, that seemed like kind of a backhanded compliment. But in all sincerity, because he was a really, really dry individual, he meant that with tremendous genuineness. And he truly meant it that my efforts and those of the people that I was working with were making his life easier. And just like Professor Santana said a second ago, none of us can do this alone. And we're doing this not on the backs of others, but hopefully leading the charge with a multitude of followers and highly accomplished and very skilled people behind us. So yeah, and if we're not thankful for them, and if we don't express that gratitude to them, they're they're going to find some other place to get that from.
Yeah, I've said it for a long time that I don't need plaques on walls and I don't need trophies and trophy cases. The real reward is the people that I've worked with or have gotten to mentor and seen their growth and what they go on to do. I think about it all the time of my buddy Thomas. He came to me having had already worked with one of the greatest chefs on the planet, Jean George. He came to me as a per diem cook in a hospital and eventually worked his way up to being a sous chef. And I mean, the guy's the best chef that I know, hands down. And I've worked with celebrity chefs. I mean, this guy's incredible. And now he's an executive chef running UT Dallas and just killing it out there. Like knowing that, I mean, I didn't do the work, he did the work. But knowing that I was a part of his growth, that's better than any
Oh yeah.
trophy ever could be, right? Like that's where the good stuff is.
Yeah. And then how many people that you've worked with in the past that you stay in contact with that are like, man, you just tell me where you're going. I want to work with you again. That's a testament. And
Yeah.
even more so, I've worked with people that I've mentored and have grown up to positions that are even more elevated than my own. And I would not even for an instant hesitate to work for them because they're such great people. And gosh, if any of you guys are out there, Josh, John, Dennis, thank you. You guys are awesome.
I had a guy in New York subway. We were the opposite side of the platform, and he started yelling out my name, "Best boss ever!"
That is awesome. For me, I had a this guy is one of my best friends now. But I met him, and I was really not looking for a job. I was out with a good friend of mine, and we were just out, and I was just hanging out with him. I wasn't working full time for anyone at the time, and I met this guy. He was a vice president of operations for a huge company, and we had a over 3.5 hour conversation. First time I met him, I've never met him. I just met him because and I just happened to run into him. I didn't, it wasn't like I had some prearranged meeting or anything like that. And during that conversation, we found so many common themes in our backgrounds, our upbringings, our values. It was powerful. I mean, I that conversation, I replay it in my mind because it was just incredible that you meet someone and you just hit it off and you spend hours speaking to that person. Fast forward a month later, he offered me a job, and I worked for him for several years until he left the company. And then fast forward 10 years later, I hired him. Um, he worked he worked for me. It's just amazing, and we've had this deep connection ever since. And we would, I mean, we speak at least every 30, 60 days, and it is just when we have a conversation, it's like having a real conversation. We talk about everything. So that for me, I will never forget that. Uh, and that's just a testament to when you're interviewing people as a leader, for especially for key positions, take interest in the people that you're speaking to. It speaks volume. Number one, it gives you a really good sense of who the person is, and not just the superficial questions that are, you're just trying to check a box. Yes, I mean that's you have to do whatever you need to do regulatory wise or whatever policy the company has, but take an interest in people and really try to get to know them and see if you have if those values, if that person's value matches the organization's values and your values. That'll say a lot whether you're going to be able to be successful together.
Yeah, I have a very good friend of mine. She was the one that introduced me to our first manager, and we worked together in four different companies. And it's not by coincidence.
No, it just it speaks a lot. It speaks a lot when you actually take the time and no matter how busy or involved, because and like for instance in this instance, um, this is a guy that was really busy. I mean, you're talking about a VP of operations in charge of over $100 million of revenues a year. He didn't have 3.5, hours or so to kill in any day, but he took the time, um, and, and from there, in an incredible relationship, from there on. So it's just amazing the way that you're able to do that, even though you have all these responsibilities. They can easily just say, "Hey, I don't have time," or whatever, but no, he took the time. So for me, that was very, very powerful.
Well, it goes back, I think, to it's a poster. I'm sure I've seen it or read it somewhere, but it's people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And people are really good at reading fakes. And even the really good pretenders can't pretend for very long.
No, it comes out.
When that all comes out, the clarity is there, and you'll know the real from what's not real. So if you're not leading with with authenticity and or you're putting on an act
Hmm.
because you're not really that kind of person, it's going to catch up to you eventually. Unless you grow and improve, yeah.
Yeah. For me, what I've noticed is that, going to back to the topic at hand with thankfulness, it's that thankfulness doesn't have to be big or formal, right? It is often the small things, the consistent moments that matter the most. So, Tanner, I want to go back to something you said, and because I've been thinking about it since you said it. Um, why do you think those small acknowledgments stay with us longer than the awards or the recognition?
Well, I think it depends on your character, right? So I think that what are you motivated by?
Hmm.
What drives you? I mean, every single person on this podcast at one point in time was driven by the desire to be the best, right? Or to reach certain levels of status or stature. And I think everyone on this podcast has reached those in some way, shape, or form and found that they're not really what we were looking for. Titles, I
Preach.
mean, titles don't really matter. I don't want to say that because titles do matter, right? Titles do matter in that, it shows that you did have the skills and ability and acumen to get to where that title places you. But it's like, Jim Carrey said, I wish everybody could get everything they wanted so that they could find out it's not really worth it. Right? I'm paraphrasing. I don't think that's exactly what he said. I think it had more to do with money. I think everybody should have all the money that they could ever want to find out that that's not really where happiness is. It's kind of the same thing, like what really drives you as a leader to go into work every single day? Because if it's just trying to reach the next metric or goal or, have the most sales in the year, that stuff's superficial. At some point, like you're putting your purpose and your passion in in something that is hollow.
Yes.
Whereas when you pour into people, it always gives back. It always gives back. And sometimes it gives back in painful ways. Sometimes you pour into somebody, to Tad's point, like sometimes you get fooled by somebody.
Mm.
right? They seem very genuine. They seem very eager. They seem like they have the right desires and motives and goals. And so you pour into them and you pour into them and you pour into them and it doesn't work out. Either they decide that they, I mean, I just mentioned my friend Thomas, right? I could mention 100, I could mention 1,000 other people that were given the same opportunities as Thomas, and they just wasted them. And I poured into those same people in the same way of trying to help them attain what they were going for, right? Sometimes you learn the lesson in a painful way,
Well,
but
and
I think go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, what I'm hearing you say is that also because it depends on character, it's where and how I define my personal value.
Yep.
My personal value for me is in my performance. Am I doing my best? Am I helping as many other people as I possibly can in whatever role I'm taking right now? And if I get a reward for that, an award to hang on the wall, that's great. But you guys have been in my office. You've seen how many awards I put on my wall. I just simply don't because that's not what matters. It's the people that matter. And if I'm doing my job and I'm leading people effectively, then they know that they matter. I can't do it without them, and that I'm going to pour everything, like Tanner says, into them that I possibly can to give them whatever opportunity they need to reach the goals that they're after. But those awards, they don't add to or even define my personal value. That comes from within. And I'm thankful for that because there was a time that was not the case.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I think there's
searching for that validity from others is I would imagine, because I don't have experience with this, would be very much like an addict always chasing that high. You're just never ever going to get where you want to be.
yeah, yeah. I think there's two things that just made me think of. One, we're all parents, we're all fathers on this podcast. And to me, the most important lesson or the most important thing that I can teach my boys at this age and as they grow older is character.
Yeah.
You are of good character, right? And what does that mean? That means integrity. That means doing what you say you're going to do. That means being honest even when it's hard. That means owning your mistakes, right? It means that just because you are chasing excellence, like my oldest son is plays select basketball and he's very good. Even though you are chasing excellence, you cannot forget about the people around you, right? Because without them, to the point we talked about earlier, you're not going anywhere, right? You
Mhm.
could be, the best basketball player on the court, but if you have a terrible team around you, you're going to get your butt kicked every time,
Yeah.
right? Um, so there's that, and then there's also, the effect of what do I want my name to carry when other people speak about me,
Wow.
right? Like it's important. I have a tendency to deflect when I am given awards, right? It's important to also embrace the fact that you're given that award because you did the right thing, right? You did it better than anybody else, right? And just because there's a team around you that helped you get it doesn't mean that you don't deserve the recognition also. But it's important to me that when my name is brought up, whether I'm there or not, that it's brought up in a way that reflects on my character. And hopefully it reflects on my character in a good way, right? When my boys grow older and somebody says, "Gosh, you remind me so much of your dad," I want them to be reflecting on that in a good way, not a bad way. And my children's actions to reflect that in a good way, not a bad way.
Yeah.
And
The
same
only
thing,
issue I
and
have
same thing
with
with the
awards,
teams that I lead.
yeah, the only issue I have with awards is that there's always haters. And you get the recognition and they start. I mean, even recently, that was recognized in the meeting because of all the work that I did last year. And one person already, why did he get this? Why is he getting this? So I let my work speak. You could keep your awards. I'm not going to put it anywhere. I'm not going to hang it anywhere. I don't want a participation trophy. Uh, But the people that work with me, they know, why. But those that are outside don't know why. And it's always that challenge, right? You can't please everybody. And there's always going to be those outside haters. They're outside looking in the inside, and they're wondering and pushing, why is this person so special? And that's one of the challenges I have to do with recognition, right? Because as a Latino and a black man, we have to overcome some challenges that are not there for everybody.
Go ahead, Tad. You were going to say something?
No, his last statement just kind of shut me down in my tracks. So I can't follow that because
Well, I want to pose this question, thought provoking here, since we're going down this rabbit hole. Uh, if people remembered your leadership, not by what you accomplished, not by awards or whatever, but by how you made them feel,
oh yeah.
Here's a, I
what,
got something for you.
yeah, what would you want that feeling to be?
I got something for you. And one of the hardest things I ever had to do as a manager is fire somebody. That is without a doubt the toughest job, especially when it's somebody that doesn't really deserve it, but you have to downside, you have no choice. You have to choose someone, guy, and you have no choice. And this happened to me, and it was with a person that I really spent half the year on the road on business trip, uh, working together. And we come back, and I had the news that I have to let him go. And I was said, tell you the toughest thing I ever had to do was to do that. But after that happened, after we had the conversation and they go, he actually thanked me for the opportunity of working with me. And that's like, wow. And power of thankful, right? Because I was in a really bad place because I really didn't want to do it. But when he just turned around and said, thank you for the opportunity you gave me. It's like, oh. And we left in a good note. He left, in good faith. He knew, things had to happen. We remained friends. But yeah, that was that was very powerful. That was a very powerful moment in my career. Have to go through that, and then for him to just flip it on me and thank me for the opportunity that I gave him. It's like, well, okay, but not that I'm gonna go start firing people so they can start thanking me, but
Well, that speaks to his character as much as it does yours.
yeah,
I mean, that he had the presence of mind to realize that the opportunity you gave him was a good one and that he absorbed everything that he needed to grow himself. And I'm sure the way that you handled that separation was respectful and provided him with as much dignity as possible.
yeah.
Yeah, it's never easy, especially in a situation like that.
Even in my current employee now, I had a guy who's about to retire. He decided he'd stick around for another year and a half just because he had the opportunity to come work with me and he wanted to learn, what I had. And he wanted to get into sourcing and learn about it. So he delayed his retirement for a whole year and a half just to work with me.
Wow. Well, now I
Yeah,
want
I
to work
think
for you.
right. I think Juan, what you bring up though is two different dynamics. There's one. I am of the opposite mindset in that I enjoy firing people. And I know that sounds villainous and I know it sounds kind of horrible, but when we've gotten to the point of firing somebody, it should never be a surprise, right? As a good leader, and I think, I mean, you asked to describe it in a word or a feeling. I would say that I would hope that people who have worked with me would find me to be fair.
Okay, cool.
And and the reason I say that is because the the situation that Juan describes, I liken more to a reduction in force, right? Or when you
Yes.
have to riff people. And it's not based on performance, it's not based on merit, it's not based on it's simply based on a number. You have to reduce the workforce by 5% or 2% or whatever that number is. And when you make that decision, sometimes you can be fair in it. Sometimes you can say, hey, you know what, like we can put things on scales and we can level out who needs to stay and who needs to go and who we see potential for growth in and who's kind of become stagnant and they're not gonna carry forth the torch. But sometimes I worked in a union house for a long time. It's based strictly on seniority
Yep.
and it has nothing to do with performance or merit or metrics or anything like that. It is simply you haven't been here as long as everybody else, so we have to let you go. Those ones are challenging because your hands are kind of tied in
Mm.
it. But a traditional firing, if I'm bringing you into the office and I'm firing you, I've given you every opportunity to change whatever behaviors have led us to that point.
Yep.
And I don't really have a problem with it. So I mean, it sounds kind of weird. Sometimes it goes sideways, and you're like, man, I really kind of, I wish that could have been handled a little bit different. And sometimes you're like, yeah, that was the right thing to do, and I'm so glad I got to like look you in the eyes and tell you to get out of my operation. You know, um, but I would hope that the people that I've worked with throughout time would say that I am a fair leader, that they know that they can come to me and that I will give them every opportunity to grow
Hmm.
and that it is up to them to see those opportunities to fruition.
I would say for me, um, compassionate. I tell everybody that works for me and that I've worked with, say, listen, I will do everything I can to help you in any way possible. Whether it's you need some personal time, like Juan's boss gave him early on, or if it's, hey, you need $100, let me help you out till payday, whatever it is. And from the field of service that I've been in for the last 20 years, it's also serving others. And it's really, really humbling and heartwarming to see those people that I don't work with anymore and don't serve anymore to recognize me out in the public and embrace me warmly. Like, we miss you so much. And it is, and some that still stay in contact otherwise. And because they knew that I was genuine in my desire to serve them. And that compassion, I think, is what I would like to be known for.
Yeah, I'm known as the people guy. If you need to find someone that we already worked with before in the past, everybody comes to me. I'm trying to find this person. You stay in contact with them? Yeah, I stay in contact with everybody. Uh, so I'm always the person that reaches out. But it's a double-edged knife because we're at an age now that, yeah, you know everybody, but we're at the age that we're losing people that we work with. So at the same point, I got to now be the bearer of bad news, guy. Sorry to let you know, but we lost so and so has departed us from so it's a double-edged knife, but I am the one person that everybody comes to when they need to find somebody that has worked in our group in the past.
That's awesome. For me, I'm wrestling. I might cheat a little and use two words. Uh,
Yeah.
for me, energy is important. That's always been important for me, and confidence. And they might go along the same way, but just I want people to feel energized and be confident in what they do. And I try to do that for the most part by just walking around and taking a few moments and really focusing on the positives and what they bring to the table as a positive versus nitpicking at negative and things of that nature being too critical. I think that we see a lot of that already from the people that we serve. You get that already. So if your leader can bring to you some positivity and some encouragement, and build up that confidence that, hey, I can truly do that. I can truly do this. They'll do it. And that's sometimes that's all they need is just someone to really believe in them. So if that's what I want to leave as my legacy, it'll be that. The
And,
Well,
and
well,
remember details. Details is so important. Little things from the person like us. I have one guy, a young guy, and he was going to buy his wife a vacuum cleaner for Christmas when he started working with us. So every Christmas, I remind them, make sure you get those vacuum bags, you know.
oh boy.
I
Well,
don't know if that's a good Christmas
yeah.
present, man.
We
I
talked
mean,
them out of it, you know.
yeah. I mean, you can hyphenate yours. Sorry. You can hyphenate yours, I mean, and it'll be all good. We'll call it one word. Yeah,
All
but,
right.
but to Tanner's boss that he's mentioned before,
Yeah.
that knew everybody's name, that's phenomenal. That's like saying thank you without even saying thank you, because we've all heard it before. The most beautiful sound that any of us hear is our own name spoken by somebody else. And to be able to walk down a hall, especially in an organization the size that you just talked about, and be able to know everybody's name,
Mm.
hopefully without reading a name tag, but if you did, even still, it's a recognition and an appreciation for actually being there because you used their name and said hi, good morning, good afternoon to them.
Well, where I
Yeah,
currently teach, go ahead, Tanner.
I just heard a story, and I haven't checked the validity of this, so I don't know if it's actually true, but I believe it to be true. And if it's not, I still like the legendary status of it, of hoping that it's true. That the kid who just won the Heisman Trophy for Indiana.
Oh,
So
Fernando.
my understanding is that before he went, when he signed on with the college, before he went, he spent the entire summer. He asked the coaches to send him a list of all of the players that he'd be playing with, a brief bio on all of them, and pictures so that he spent the entire summer memorizing them so that when he got into the locker rooms, he knew everybody by name and was able to say, "Hey, you're so and so. You're John. You're Tanner. You're Juan." And then I guess so. Legend has it. Again, I don't know the validity to the story, but um, when he was nominated for the Heisman Trophy and knew that he was a front runner for it, he did the same thing with all the Heisman winners, so that when he was there, he could actually, approach them and say, "Hey, thank you so much for voting for me. I know that you're Tim Tebow. I know that you're, you know, pretty impressive. So
I
to your
mean,
point, Tad, I mean, people like to hear their own name, and when you take the time to do that, it develops something a little bit deeper.
mhm. It's very key. Two things to what you said. First, what a constant the what a difference between his approach versus the other guy. I don't know if you heard the stories of the other guy. Wow. Yeah, you wonder why the other guy didn't win. I mean, that just by that, by what you just said. And
Yeah.
second, my cousin that lives in Miami, he's a lawyer, and he went to the same school. So he knows he knows them pretty well and his family, and that wouldn't surprise me, because I've had multiple conversations with my cousin about him, and the guy is a pretty stand-up guy and raised properly. So good on him.
Yeah, so I was going to say where I teach, actually, the president of the school greets every single student that comes in every semester at the door.
Wow.
He stays at the door and he greets every student that comes into the campus. Yeah, and anyone that lives or is near the campus or in the Bronx know who Mr. Jerome is because he's there. He's greeting everybody. He's at the door. He greets everybody. He's without fail every semester. He's there. He'll do 1 week in one campus, and he goes to New Rochelle, does it on the other campus. He's always greeting students there as they come in at the beginning of each semester.
There you go. I guarantee you, their re-enrollment rate is really high.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that's not something you forget.
yeah,
No,
we're losing students from term to term or year to year. All right. So, as we close up, I just want to leave with this question, and each of you can hit it. How might your leadership change if thankfulness became a daily practice rather than an occasional response to results?
but it is a daily practice.
But how might your leadership change if it is? I mean, it might be for all us here. It's not. I wouldn't say for everyone in the leadership position.
Well, I would
So,
say, go ahead, Tanner.
I will challenge in that, there's something that we do in the self-help world, in the coaching world, that's gratitude journaling,
Hmm.
right? And there's been so many studies on how powerful it is for yourself to sit down once a day and just think of three things that you are grateful for, right? And to write out why you are grateful for them, not just, I'm grateful for my dog. I'm grateful that the sun came up today. Why are you grateful for them? Right? I'm grateful for my wife because she is the greatest blessing that God has ever given me. Right? She is the most beautiful person I've ever seen. She makes me laugh. She puts up with all of my bullshit and she calls me on it. Right? Like she is the best person in the world. Right? I am so grateful for her. Now imagine if you
Hi,
took that
Angel.
same approach now imagine if you took that same approach to your workforce, right? Or to the teams that you lead.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying for the other three people that are on this podcast. I'm saying for you, the leader who is listening to this.
Hmm.
What if you went into your job tomorrow and you said, you know what? I'm going to look at one person and I'm going to think of what I'm thankful for that they bring to this operation.
There you go.
And then once I pinpoint that, I'm going to make a point to tell them.
Yep.
Not just I'm grateful that, or I'm thankful that you showed up to work today in a workforce that doesn't like to show up, right? I'm thankful that you took the time to do A, B, and C. And if you want to take it a step further, figure out something that they like. Do they like a public recognition or do they like a private note? And
Mhm.
do that for them. Write them a little note and say, hey, I just want you to know that I see you, right? I recognize what you bring and I'm thankful for what you bring to this operation. And watch that change.
Ooh.
Do that for a handful of your team in the next month and watch how it changes the dynamic of your team.
Absolutely. And I think that maybe a different way of asking your question, Dr. Amin, is for any of you out there that do not practice this on a daily basis, consider how you would feel if your boss and the people that you worked for that maybe reported to or were at a higher level in the organization than you are were thankful for you on a regular basis. They came in and said, I just wanted to say, I do really appreciate everything that you do around here. I know it goes unnoticed and unspoken, but I really appreciate that. And if you can visualize that on how it would make you feel, imagine the power that you have for those that you work for and work with. So,
And take it one step further. What about doing it for somebody that leads around you? Maybe not your direct leader,
Mhm.
but because you don't want to come off as, I'm just trying to butter up the boss, but what if you recognize the leader of a different department in that same way?
yes,
Or a team member in another department in that same way, or somebody that probably isn't getting any recognition at all. Maybe it's the person that works the front desk at your work, that has to field every single person that comes in the door, and nobody goes up to them and says, "Gosh, you know what? I know that you have to put your smiley face on every single moment of every single day that you are here, and I know that that's challenging some days because there's a lot of life that happens outside of these places." And I want you to know that I appreciate how you present every day.
well, and I think that
Watch it.
that goes to the point that to be a leader is not just a leader of the people in your own organization. You're a leader to everyone.
Yep.
And whether
Say it
you
louder for
realize it
those
or
in the
not,
back.
yeah, there are other people watching how you interact with not only your people, but others around you. And you have an opportunity every at every instance of your day when you're interacting with others to show who you are and the character you have by being grateful and showing that gratitude to others, whether they work for you, they work next to you, they work above you. And it sounds like a platitude, and I think you hit on it a second ago. Sometimes our bosses, they sit in very, very thankless positions. So thinking upward can be a blessing to them as much as it can be for anyone that works for you, simply because you don't know the kind of stuff they're dealing with because they're the shield between you and the level above them. But man, if they're good to you, if they've done something that you appreciate, you should probably share that with them. You might just be the one thing in their day that keeps them going.
Let's say be thankful for someone who's not expecting the cleaning lady who goes in and cleans those bathrooms, cleans the floor. I seen those bathrooms before she goes in. We have to be very grateful for her to be that brave to go in there. Because sometimes, even though it's a corporation, you wonder, you know, how are people living in their houses? This is the way they treat this bathroom. But grateful to those little people that people usually take for granted. Every morning I walk into the building, security guard, say good morning. As I leave, I say good night. You know, hundreds of people walk through there, don't say anything, don't even know anything. The guy who makes my coffee, I sit with him, have a conversation. His mom recently had cancer surgery, so every day I ask him, how's your mom doing? How's her recovery?
Mhm.
Those little things is what really matter, what makes a difference. Uh, and I do it, just because that's who I am. That's the person I am. I need to care for people. Uh, I married to, as me will know, my wife's nickname is Madre Teresa, because she's always helping everybody. So some of that stuff sticks with me. Uh, to care for everybody around you. Uh, and be grateful. Grateful for those people that don't expect it. Uh, because those are the ones that can make the biggest difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, everything you guys said, there's probably not much that I can add. Just that if you follow the examples and the words, the guidance of Tanner, Tad, and Juan here, you and being and you're intentional about doing it, you're going to become more human, and you're going to be seen as not as that leader that's unreachable, that it's almighty and the ivory tower. You're going to be seen as that leader that you're with us, you're here, and you're human, and I can relate to you, uh, because of the way that you're carrying yourself.
Yeah,
All right.
we have a trip coming up to hopefully in May, if it gets all the approval, to go to India to do our final testing for our project. And just because the rumor is out, everybody in the office in India is like looking forward to actually meet us in person. It's like, oh, you guys are coming here. Oh, when it is, when it is. So it's going to be a life-forward experience to go there for the first time and to meet a lot of people face to face for the first time. Even though I still do my camera cameos monthly, it's not the same, right? To be physically in front of the person. So I'm hoping that management sees the benefit of this and allows us to make this happen because uh, when you do the face to face, it's such a big difference. And to my team, I mean, I always thankful. Even at the end of the year, I did a recap email of everything that we did. I sent an email to included everybody, thanking them for the work that they did, and we got a lot of more work that's coming up this year. Appreciate the support, and I shoot the email out, and then I make sure that the upper management for the vendor companies copy, all right, so they could see that it's not just me saying it to them, but I'm also making sure their management is aware that they are doing a great job, that they are, putting in the long hours, they are making this happen. It's not just me creating work orders and, invoices.
Good stuff. Well, final words.
Well, I want to end this by saying I want to be thankful, first of all, for my family for putting up the long hours, all the business trip and everything, especially my wife. But thankful for Ernie for being a great mentor. Thankful Susan for being and still a great mentor. I still call her today, before I making a decision. There were two people that were very, very influential in who I am. The Schmidt sister, wherever you guys are, thank you, ladies, for always being in my corner.
Awesome. Thank you, Juan. Tanner.
Well, I'll start by saying thank you to the gentleman on this podcast. You guys have been dear friends to me for a long time now, and so I appreciate each and every one of you. Above everything else is God. I'm so thankful to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and for the blessings that He provides me in seasons of storms and droughts and seasons of mountaintops and sunshine. I'm so thankful to all of the teams that I've gotten to work with over the years, and what they've taught me while giving me the opportunity to lead them, and then just incredible leaders that I've worked with. Some I've mentioned on this show, and some I'll save for another podcast. And of
Awesome.
course, my wife.
Who's next to me?
We're gonna send her a copy of this. Don't worry.
She watches all of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she watches all of them.
So for me, I would say that, and I believe I've said it before, it is physically and psychologically impossible to be in a bad headspace if you're expressing gratitude, if you're expressing thankfulness,
Mhm.
simply because it just changes your entire psyche.
Mhm.
So while I did not enjoy working with or for some people, I am thankful for the opportunity that I did because I learned so much. And
Yeah.
by simply reframing that in my own mind, I can turn that, what would be a negative, into a positive. And you can too. If you decide that you want to live your life through the lens of gratitude, you will be absolutely amazed at what comes back to you in return. And the sight that you see through that new lens of gratitude will change your perspective of the world around you entirely. So I challenge each and every one of you out there that are watching this to try it. You will not be disappointed.
Amen to that. I think Tab was kind of reading my notes there. A little cheating there. In all seriousness, leadership doesn't need more strategy, more metrics. Sometimes, well, I would say a lot of times, it just needs presence. A presence of us being humans, and really just using those powerful words that Professor Santana has behind him, and acknowledging people. It- just two words: thank you. Thankfulness is so vital to us being leaders, and the way we carry ourselves will say a lot to our teams, and motivate them, and they can see us, as I said before, more human. That we are in this together. It's not me telling you what to do and then I'll go hide in my office. Thank you, thank the three of you. You guys are amazing. And we'll see you in the next podcast.